Hello everyone, it's Michael again with your latest supply and demand market report. This video is looking at the energy markets, the metals market, and the agricultural products. I hope you've all been well and trading well. Please remember these videos are purely for educational purposes and not a recommendation for you to base any of your trading decisions on. So let's go ahead and start with natural gas. We've had a significant event in the last week in natural gas in that we have broken out through this supply. So now time to remove these lines and see where we're headed next. It's that upper supply, the upper part of the range that we've talked about. We do now have a level that, the buyers may want to consider protecting. We'll see if this level turns out to become a demand zone. Right now, it's not enough yet, doesn't meet our criteria. We haven't broken out of the overall range. As you see here on the weekly, we are still in that range on the weekly chart to your left. So we'll see how that pans out, but positive for the buyers in the last week. So we'll see what happens next. Okay. And crude oil is still undecided, continues to use this lower area on the daily as the area to use for buying. You can see significant buying pressure coming into the market and ultimately closing positive for the week, barely, but still positive from around that low. And we've got the highs, quite well defined in this overall area right now, and still supply just above it as well. So still undecided. The fact that it's holding here, though, I still think it's positive. I have the only justification I have for holding that view is that we've lost the volatility in this area and we're still not falling lower. This market is tightening up. Compare this area to all of this. It's a big difference in terms of volatility, the size of the candles, the ranges of the candles. So it's an indication of a market that's tightening up and will probably be breaking out quite strongly to one side or the other in a fairly strong move. So, but none of that has happened yet, and we don't know which way it'll go. So those are all just conjecture for now. So it's a watch, nothing really to do unless you have a strategy that allows you to trade ranges. The range is pretty well defined, as I said, on the daily chart. Buying low, selling high has worked for a couple of months now, at least. Okay, let's move to the metals. Those are the energy markets, and we see this has ended. I hope if you took that trade, you had your trade managed and didn't end up taking a loss in this or reduce your loss if you had if you did take the trade. Now we have new information. We have silver continuing to go down. We can update our weekly now and take out that demand zone. In fact, let me clean up all of this. So we now have this area up here where clearly the sellers have come. It is a very, very ugly zone. In fact, I'm not going to draw it in because it hasn't finished completing. It definitely is an area that, there was a rally, sellers came in and said no and took it back down. And here we are heading towards that lower demand area that we've talked about. We've broken through that demand zone as well. We're now headed to the next potential stop, which is this one. So we'll see how it works out there. But clearly on the weekly, we can see we're now in a downtrend, momentum to the downside, removing demand zones, all that good stuff. But we do have demand right there. The problem I have with that demand is its location because, again, like some of the markets we've discussed in the other videos, it's overall in this range. It's a big range, yes, it's overall in that range. And what happened over the last sort of year, thereabouts, almost a year, is we saw this happen. Let me just make that thick and black and change it to 4 so you can see it. Higher highs, as you see the arrows we've put there from, I don't know when, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but showing you the uptrend. All it did was go up there into that sort of range, and we've got that range up there as well. So it hasn't really broken out anywhere. It's had a move up, and now we're getting another move down. So this level is sort of caught in the middle. Now, if that level is going to be the one to hold to propel silver to, brand new heights, then new levels will form along the way. Trading it as it is coming down into that level in this kind of environment needs care, shall we say, for all the reasons I just said. So we haven't been able to remove that resistance that was up there. We've been soundly rejected from it. Will this demand now hold? We will have sellers above us for sure by the time prices get there. So that would be another thing. How much of a profit margin does one actually have? That's another consideration. But yeah, so those are the downsides to that zone, the cons. The pro is that, this market has had a shakeout from breaking below. It didn't stay below. It, had an accumulation process down in here and rallied up, pulled back into that area and went to new highs again. So there are buyers who have something to defend down in these price levels that price is now approaching. So again, watch is what I'm doing and see what happens there until we get a green light. Then we can consider a trade. For now, it's a watch. Last week I was saying that opportunities were in some of these markets. Not as clear with this one right now, at least not for the way that I trade on these time frames. All right, looking at Palladium. So Palladium continues to hold supply levels, suggesting that sellers continue to dominate. We've now traded through that weekly level, so we can take that one out. And we're continuing to follow the trend to the downside. Is just, what happens. Even the trend, the sellers are so strong, so immediate returns continue to work. We pulled down, we returned immediately, and we've got new lows attained, and we just continue to go down. This area, you can see all of this area has been tested so many times. I'm not really going to be drawing a zone up there to say I will be considering selling when it gets there. I won't. But it is worth noting that in and around that area, there have been 3 attempts. So it is a strong area. It's definitely an area of resistance, but its prices have been to this area so many times. It's not something that, my trading plan, my decision matrix doesn't allow me to take those kinds of levels at all, for good reason. But yeah, it's worth noting though. We are still in a downtrend. So if we form new supply zones, and there will be support and resistance traders. I mean, it's like you can think of it as a dual level of resistance, because you have the people who would be looking to short a rally back up into this black area here. And then you have this area right above it as well. So sort of like a dual resistance, making it, if you were going to score the amount of overhead supply that there is, it's quite large, clearly, in Palladium. So I'm sure there will be strategies one could use. It's just not my style, but I'm sure not to say that this is not something one should trade. It would just be a different style to the way that I trade. Okay, but for now, there's nothing to do for me in Palladium. And looking at Platinum continues to form supply levels. So let's update this one. We've got new supply there. It's breaking through demand. It's also clearly rejected off of that supply that's been in control for a long time now, and it keeps going down. On the weekly, it's quite a wide zone. If you were going to really consider the weekly level, this whole area is the supply. It's quite wide. So bear that in mind. It's all of this, and we're talking about this top part of it. So just bear that in mind. It is creating supply. If we're looking for demand, there isn't any quality demand below us for a while yet. Okay, let's take a look at gold. This is going to be longer than I wanted. It's already 10 minutes, but hey, it's a lot more market. Gold is also, as we said, we were talking about gold just dribbling down, and it continues to do that. It is sitting in this circled area, similar to the area in Bitcoin that held. For now, we're still seeing, believe it or not, that little bit of drop supply is still preventing prices. They did try, but they got smacked back down, and that level is still holding. It's not a level we are trading, but we've marked it on for several weeks in these videos to say it is there, but it is not the kind of level we would trade. We are possibly going to be creating supply if we move further away on the weekly, where I'm thinking of, well, looking at this area on the weekly, whether it's going to end up being a supply zone. It still has a lot more work to do to attain that status. So nothing to do just now, again, unless you're taking the shorts on smaller time frames, trying to get this counter trend move. And again, just like in silver, this level of demand that we've been talking about on the weekly is also smack dab in the middle of a wider range. It's in the middle of this wider range that has had a shakeout, which is always positive for the direction, for the opposite direction. So we had a shakeout to the downside, and we call it the face-off trade, and it just went higher. So now we need to see if this level is going to what causes gold to attain new highs, or whether it's just going to maybe pause in there when it gets there and continue to the downside, looking to test the lows from back in October 2022. I don't know is what I will say to that. I have what I think about it, but I don't. That's neither here nor there. The markets will do what they will do, and we will respond accordingly. All right, looking at copper. Copper is into supply. So we talked about this level a few times already, and you can see what has happened. If you were in the trade, depending on where you put your stop, if you use a structural based stop or even a volatility based stop, you should be absolutely fine still. Full disclosure, like we discussed in our roundtable meeting last Sunday, I'm now looking for opportunities to get into this short. I'm not in the trade yet for reasons I've explained on this channel, the way that I trade my levels. Now I'm looking on smaller time frames for a rally back up to go short. Okay, so opportunities in copper coming up on the smaller time frames. Now let's quickly run through corn. Corn has attempted to break out and been soundly rejected. I broke a rule of mine, as I was talking to the guys about. I broke a rule of mine this week and got reminded by the market of my rule when I did my reflection on the trade. So I have a rule that I don't trade extended markets, and in particular, on the day that I was looking at this trade, I had meetings, I had other things I was doing, but I saw the level and I thought, let me take it. So this was my what the heck rule. It's going to break out. I don't want to miss it. It was my FOMO idea. Totally. When I saw the notification of the trade being stopped out, I knew the reason why, and I accepted the loss. And I don't do self-flagellation anymore. 10 years ago, maybe I would have been much more cross. I wasn't even cross. I was like, wow, my rules do keep me safe. It's just for me to obey them. And I've done pretty well, I would say, obeying them. And because we're human and we will make mistakes, we must make mistakes because human nature is that way. But we get reminders like this. Losing one trade is not going to It shouldn't anyway, end your trading career. But it's good to, in some ways, I was going to say it's actually good to see that, the rules are there to keep us safe in the markets. So this market again has pulled up. What is good though is this move up has removed at least one level of supply. This area here, this area that we marked here on the weekly. So we know that this area of demand is quite strong. So looking at now levels into this area, it is a wide and whippy area. So I'm looking at that area personally for a trade idea. That area is where I'm considering. So for obvious reasons, it's a level on top of level, the location and all the other odds enhancers that I assess. It will score fairly highly, high enough. It won't be my full position size, but it will definitely be a trade. It'll pass my screening tests. Okay, going to sugar. So sugar has had a nasty week. It's been sold into. The uptrend still remains intact though. Why? Because we still haven't removed that demand zone. We've tried to bounce from it. We've removed 1, 2, 3 levels, as we said, but look at where the selling has come in. It's removing demand zones. It's a market that's gone sideways. You're not well, you could even still argue it's still up because, like I said, we haven't removed, or rather we should say the momentum is turning to the downside because we still haven't removed demand. So you can't even say you're in a sideways trend yet. You want to go, lower, see if you can get deeper into that level. Is it a long? I would not trade it long for lots of reasons that I don't really have the time to say now. To suffice to say, you're seeing it right here that, an attempt to rally from an objective demand zone is being soundly rejected in a market that has gone parabolic. That's information for us. Looks like a market that's looking to pull back a bit deeper, but it may still regain its life from here and bounce. It's just, we will see that when it happens. It's definitely not a long right now. It's a watch. Yeah, if you're long already, might be worth considering taking your profits. If you were long from lower levels around 22 cents is what I'm saying, not long from this demand zone. If you're long in this demand zone, hopefully you're out already. Okay, so nothing to do for now in sugar. We're watching it. And looking at soybeans as well has had a decent week. It's finally blown through that supply. Now we have demand zones below looking really good. So opportunities are marked out for soybeans. We can take out that supply. So now we have buying opportunities in soybeans. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. Overall, we are sideways in the sense that we've just removed this one supply. We haven't made it above, to new highs, for example, above there. So it's just trying right now. It's trying to get out right now. It's not yet done it. Not yet. But if you wanted to be aggressive, these are levels you could try. All right. And finally, wheat. Wheat is going up and away. It's breaking through supply. We're looking for pullbacks to demand, and we'll see how we get on with that. Still far away though. Strong parabolic move coming up into supply here, so we'll see what happens there. Please do not be buying this level right now. It's way too high. Okay, so that will do it. 20 minutes. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate the viewership. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.